But
Okay, you were going to talk about directors, something with
yeah, I wanted
directors.
to ask you. This is a brief topic because I really only want to do this I really only want to do this about let's say four directors.
All right.
Scorsese, Tarantino, Nolan himself that we mentioned,
Okay.
and let's put Spielberg in there. Although Spielberg's too bad because Spielberg's on just so many fucking movies. But let's leave him. Let's leave Spielberg. But the question here is the most overrated movie by each one of those directors, in your opinion, and their most underrated movie by each one of those directors.
I like the question. Okay.
We can start with Scorsese.
Okay. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Scorsese. So overrated, underrated.
Mhm.
Um, let me pull up let me just Google him real quick, just so his filmography is right in front of me. Martin Scorsese. Okay. Um, oh, easy. Overrated, The Irishman.
Yeah. All right.
Underrated, The Departed.
Really? Do
Easy.
you know what the funny thing about it is that in the Reddit post that I saw about it, most people were saying that The Departed was the most overrated of his movies.
Yeah. Well, those people will be wrong.
Disagree?
Oh,
Like a
you
lot
know
of
what
people,
though?
people were
Ah,
mentioning that or mentioning like Raging Bull, which I disagree wholeheartedly on Raging Bull. It was too good.
oh yeah.
It was too
Dude, wait.
good.
But dude, Scorsese's got some underrated ones. No, I can't say The Departed is underrated, but it's not the most underrated. So the
Is it
most,
really underrated? Because you know he won. Like that's a movie he won an Oscar for.
well, I just feel like it's not as legendary status as like Goodfellas, Taxi
Okay.
Driver, Raging Bull.
Okay.
It doesn't have like that OG status that I think it should. Is
Hmm.
that fair? I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
fair.
fair. Yeah.
Okay, so the most overrated Scorsese film, The Irishman, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Um, the most underrated, I would have to say, is I want to say it comes down to like either Cape Fear,
Hmm.
After Hours, or King of Comedy. Probably King of Comedy is probably the most underrated.
Yeah.
Cape Fear is an
Mm.
underrated one, but I think after no, sorry, not After Hours. King of Comedy is very underrated.
Mhm.
How about you?
Hmm. Let me see. For me, I'm looking at his filmography. I think there's movies of his that I believe are like appropriately rated, like Gangs of New York. It's like appropriately rated.
I actually
Usually
haven't
there's like
seen
a
Gangs
six
of
or
New
a
York.
seven. I think the way people feel about the movie is appropriate because people don't really regard the movie as like a great movie. It's like either good or like okay, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with you in underrated. I think the King of Comedy takes that cake for me
Yeah.
because it really is a movie that only like a few people mention.
Yeah.
Anybody who's seen the movie goes like, "Oh my god, it's so great, such a great movie," but then nobody else like mentions it, and it's never like in the list.
Yeah.
So that's it for me for underrated movies.
Yeah.
For overrated, funnily enough, I think I just have the same for as you. Like I agree. I think The Irishman,
Yeah.
100%.
Horribly
But
overrated.
yeah, but moving past that, let's go to the other guy that has way too many movies, Spielberg.
Oh,
Narrowing
Spielberg.
this down. Yeah,
Okay, Steven Spielberg. All right, let me make sure that's in front of me here.
yeah.
Um okay. Okay. So keep in mind there's a few Spielberg movies I haven't seen, namely
There's a few Spielberg movies that everybody hasn't seen. The guy makes a movie every year.
well, yeah. So here's the distinction. There's a couple very well-known ones I haven't seen. Namely, I have not seen Schindler's List and I've not seen Saving Private Ryan.
Hmm.
Um
But let me add like a third category. Moving here forward that I kind of mentioned, but before, also a movie that you believe is appropriately rated.
okay, okay. That's fair.
To add some spice to this.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so appropriately rated, I'm gonna say there's a lot of those, but
BFG.
yeah, yeah, right.
The
Um,
big fucking giant.
so I think appropriately rated. There's quite a few that are very appropriately rated, but just the one that comes up to the top for me is like Jaws, probably.
Mm,
I think that movie gets the right amount of love, and probably the original Jurassic Park as well.
mhm,
Spielberg's easy for me. Overrated is
mhm.
going to be E.T.
Okay.
Underrated, it's Minority Report. Minority Report
Mm,
is a phenomenal film. It's
mhm.
fantastic. It's incredible. Minority Report, fucking awesome. It's one of Tom
Yeah.
Cruise's best performances, man. Keep in mind, I haven't seen Magnolia and I have not seen um,
You just saw
Eyes Wide
Magnolia,
Shut.
then you would change your mind.
Yeah, I haven't seen
If you
Eyes
saw
Wide
if you
Shut.
saw Eyes Wide Shut, then you wouldn't change your mind. But if you saw
Okay.
Magnolia, then you would. But Eyes Wide Shut is not really a movie about performances.
Okay. Gotcha. But at least as far as I've seen, that has to be Tom Cruise's best performance. The scene where he attacks the man who he believes kidnapped his little boy and killed his little
Mm,
boy like years prior,
mm,
fucking incredible, dude. And I mean that movie, yeah, Minority Report, it's one of the greatest sci-fi films like of all time.
yeah.
How about you, sir?
Well, for me, and hopefully, I hope this angers people in the comments. I hope somebody posts like an angry comment. I hope somebody listens to this and they go like, oh, like go like, oh, because I believe that Spielberg's that basically I haven't seen the third like classic original Indiana Jones. Like I
Okay.
haven't seen what is it The Last Crusade.
Yeah.
But I believe Indiana Jones and The Lost Ark are overrated movies.
You talk about Temple of Doom and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes, I believe they're overrated movies. I believe they are simpleton movies. I believe they are just simple little movies that everybody has overrated. I believe those movies are overrated.
Well, and I mean, I
Also,
mentioned a couple weeks ago that I think the Brendan Fraser's, Stephen Summers, The
yeah,
Mummy,
yeah,
is
yeah.
better than all three Indiana Jones
Yeah,
films.
and as you know, I need to rewatch that movie. But I believe that even without having rewatched The Mummy, I agree with you. You
Yeah.
know, I think all those fucking Indiana Jones movies are overrated. And I think also that AI, artificial intelligence, is overrated. It's one of those movies where like people watch them and
Mm.
people watch AI and they just go like, oh, yeah, it really was the rebirth of Kubrick. He really had something going there. Fucking movie sucks, man. Like,
I haven't
I'm
seen that
sorry.
one.
I'm sorry to all the folks. And this is why I said that this is going to anger people. Probably mostly because of Indiana Jones. But I also think that the people who love AI may find me saying that that movie is overrated even more insulting. Because the movie, like the ratings only really get to like the sevens. Like it has 70% Rotten Tomato, and I still think that's too high. Like I
Yeah.
think I have the movie as like a five, maybe even a four. Like I just don't like. That's not. That movie's not good, man.
That's funny. I believe I haven't. So I haven't seen AI. I believe our or I know that our colleague. I guess I'm warranted in calling him a colleague.
Mhm.
Rob Ager.
Yeah.
Really like he loves AI. He has like a number of really in
Oh
depth
no, dude!
reviews.
I've seen like some of his stuff, and I'm just like, dude, you're just digging, like you're just digging inside a man's butthole that has no poop in it.
That was very like that was very crass, but also really gave like made the point I think that you were trying to make too.
He's so poop. There's no poop in there. But to move on from this, I believe that Catch Me If You Can is appropriately rated.
Yeah.
It has a 96%, an 8.1, and IMDb. It's like highly rated, and I agree. I think that's like a really fun movie, and I think people actually like because anytime I see like up like Spielberg movies, it's always these fucking shitty ass movies like Indiana Jones, and it's like no, not AI and it's not Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's like fucking Catch Me If You Can with DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. It's great.
Yeah.
Um, and an underrated movie of his, I believe, to be. Let me see. I'm looking at these movies. Da 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 da. Not Private Ryan because I think Private Ryan is appropriately rated. If not, maybe overrated a little bit at times. I think Jaws is great, but I also just agree with the general consensus of that movie.
Yeah.
Also the Jurassic Park movies. Um, Do you know, honestly, I don't think he has an underrated movie.
You don't think so?
No, I think people usually just overrate this guy's movies. I don't. None of these movies that I'm looking at, I feel like are underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, I know
Like,
you don't share my consensus on Minority Report.
no, I think Minority Report is also just like rated appropriately. You know, it has a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. You know, um,
Yeah. I mean, when I
I
talk
think
about under and overrated too, I'm also I'm factoring in
like
rating,
general, like
but the general, like the memory
yeah,
of the film, like how the
yeah,
film is remembered, the film's
yeah,
legacy, and
yeah. No,
people
I'm
don't
taking that
look
into
at
account a little
Minority
bit
Report.
too.
Yeah, people
Yeah,
don't look at Minority Report like that film does not even that film's legacy isn't even comparable to like Blade Runner, right?
yeah.
And
No,
and
I
it
agree with
should
you.
be.
Yeah,
Fun fact: it was
yeah.
written by the
You know
same
what?
author.
I'm gonna copy your answer. I'm gonna copy the one that you said. I agree. Minority Report is the underrated one.
Yeah. Okay.
But all of that being said, next one is Nolan.
Okay. Let's take a look here. Christopher Nolan. Um. Oh, easy,
Yeah.
easy.
Well,
Over.
it's narrowing down because these guys, because the next one is Tarantino, and he has even fewer movies than Nolan does.
Oh, easy. Um. Overrated. Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Massively overrated.
Okay.
It's really well made, but I just think it's overrated. Or
Mm.
maybe Interstellar. Ooh, that's tough.
Mm.
Yeah, I think maybe Interstellar is probably more over. No, I think Dunkirk gets a lot of respect.
Mm.
Dunkirk has more of a legacy than Interstellar, I think. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dunkirk's overrated. Underrated. I thought Tenet was underrated actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're in the minority because I know that movie has like really mixed like reviews.
yeah. I thought
People
Tenet
and people
was
are trying to forget that movie, from what I understand.
no, I thought Tenet was excellent.
Yeah. Mm.
And then appropriately rated. Yeah, that movie only has a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's critics. What did audiences give it? Probably something similar. 76. Yeah, no, I thought Tenet was excellent. Um, and then appropriately rated The Dark Knight.
Okay. Look, I'm looking. Okay. Well, here you go. For me, underrated. I'm gonna go Interstellar. I think Interstellar is actually underrated.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I think that movie is like it has a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, and like people over time, you know, have kind of like not been so positive about that movie. And even when the movie came out, people were not being so positive about it because they were kind of clowning it or the, you know, maybe just ham-fisted message or heart of it all.
Yeah.
But I do think the movie's underrated. I think it deserves more love than it gets.
Hmm.
Or overrated, I am going to go with Inception. I think Inception's overrated.
Ah, well, you're
I think
wrong.
Inception's overrated. I really do. I think it's overrated.
I mean, I could see that
Um,
consensus. I could definitely, or not
especially
consensus, that
because it's
sentiment.
especially because it's not like in terms of like the storytelling that it's doing and the ideas, it's not even innovative. You know, he just stole those ideas. So just taking those things into account, you know, which is the same reason why people fault like The Departed because Scorsese just took those ideas from Infernal Affairs, you know, and Nolan just took these ideas from Satoshi Kon's movies. So because of that, you know, because I just don't like the whole like American filmmaker takes, you know, Asian property and makes it into an American movie that then is like the greatest, you know, shit ever made.
Yeah.
Because of that, I'm putting him down, you know.
You're taking
So
Christopher Nolan down a peg.
yeah, I'm taking him down a peg, dude. He's not gonna recover from this one. And and appropriately rated, I'm gonna say The Prestige. The Prestige is pretty good.
I actually haven't seen The Prestige.
Yeah, I know you haven't seen that movie, but that movie's great.
Okay.
I agree with kind of the general consensus about that movie. But last and not least, Mr. Tarantulino.
Yeah, right. Well, and I also think if I could just say real quick, I think Memento is appropriately rated as well.
Mhm.
Do you think
Yeah, I agree.
Memento is
Yeah.
overrated or underrated or appropriate?
No, 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 no. I think that movie's where it exists.
Yeah, yeah. Gotcha. All right, so Quentin Tarantino. Okay, so
There's only
again,
one movie of his that I haven't seen. I've only not seen Death Proof.
yeah, that's the same for me. That's the only one I haven't seen. Um, okay, so easy, pretty easy, I think.
Mhm.
Overrated, Inglorious Bastards.
Okay.
I never cared too much for Inglorious Bastards, like as much as people generally do.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, man. I've seen that movie a couple times now too, and I don't know, man. I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it has like I think I gave it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. I mean, but I don't know. I can't pinpoint what's missing for me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't hit.
Yeah.
I think the movie that gets the just the right amount of love is I want to say I want to say like I want to say Reservoir Dogs gets just the right
Okay.
amount of love,
Yeah.
and that's one of my favorite. Uh, you know, it's easy. It's easy to say that Reservoir Dogs might be underrated, but I could inch up to just the right amount of love.
Yeah.
On that one. So yeah, overrated Glorious Bastards, just right Reservoir Dogs, and then
I think I know
underrated.
where you're going with underrated.
Oh, do you? Yeah, yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say the Hateful Eight.
Okay.
Is that what you thought?
Yeah, that's what I thought you were gonna say.
Hateful Eight's
Yeah.
very underrated.
Yeah, I agree. I think that movie's underrated. I'm gonna not follow suit with you though. I'm gonna go Jackie Brown for underrated.
Yeah. No, I agree with that
Um,
too.
yeah, because I thought you were gonna say either that or The Hateful Eight, but because you took The Hateful Eight, I'm gonna go Jackie Brown. I think that movie's pretty underrated.
Yeah.
Um, appropriately rated, I'm going to say Django. I think Django is like as good as everybody says it is. Always great, you
Yeah.
know. Every time I watch Django, is the greatest movie ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it always is, and like the Kill Bill movies, I feel like those movies are always just like the greatest thing that anybody ever made when I watch them.
Oh yeah.
I have to be in a certain mood to watch them, but then they click. And overrated, mm, tough. I think the only right answer here is Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
I think that's the only right answer.
I could see
Yeah,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I could see being a little overrated,
yeah, maybe a little bit.
but yeah, definitely Inglorious Bastards because people hang on to those scenes with the Hans Landa character
Mm,
in Inglorious Bastards. I think people really hang on to those scenes.
mm.
Um, like whenever people talk about how great Inglorious Bastards is,
It's just
all they're
that,
doing are
yeah.
talking about the scenes with him in it, and then maybe the bar scene with Michael Fassbender too.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Everything else, nobody talks about anything else. And
Yeah,
everything else is like not that good.
yeah. And don't get me wrong, the
Yeah.
bar scene with Michael Fassbender is great too.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's great. It's an amazing scene.
yeah. Uh, yeah. I like that, man. That's fun. We should do that more
Yeah.
with other directors.
Yeah. But that's all I got for topics. What you got, man?
Um, let's see.
But as of this moment, I walk alone.
I
Next to
walk
that dinosaur and Chris
alone.
Pratt. um, but are you ready to move into our overrated segment?
I'm ready. Hit me.
Okay, so this is the rated, underrated, overrated segment. First director of this, because I from this is the last one where I'm gonna pick directors. From now on, I'm really just gonna give you like a handful of movies. The next time that we do this, but this episode I'm gonna do some directors still. And the first one here is S. Craig Zahler.
Okay. Okay. So we're doing overrated, underrated again.
And justly rated.
Oh well, that's easy because he's got only 3 films.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really is an easy one. So I guess it's just about these three movies for us.
I would say, oh, that is difficult though. So right off the, Okay, okay, I got it. Underrated, Dragged Across Concrete.
Okay.
Uh, Dragged Across Concrete's awesome. I'm ready. I'm
Yeah.
probably watching it this weekend again, like rewatching it on Net because it's on Netflix now. Um, Dragged Across Concrete's fantastic. That's like one of my favorite crime
Yes.
films of all time. It's so good, man. So good. If you haven't seen Dragged Across
Yeah. Yeah.
Concrete and you like edgy crime cop films, go watch Dragged Across Concrete. It's a great
Yeah.
crime thriller, super suspenseful. Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson play two cops who get suspended without pay, and they're both in financial hot water. So they stake out these bank robbers, and their plan is when the bank robbers rob a bank, they're going to rob the bank robbers. Great plot, man. Great plot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, off my soapbox. Dragged Across Concrete is underrated. Bone Tomahawk is justly rated, and Brawl and Cell
Right.
Block 99 is overrated.
You know what the funny thing is that you landed where I would have gone because I agree with your picks. I agree with Dr. Cox Concrete. And honestly, if I could, I would say that both Brawl and Cellblock 99 and Bone Tomahawk are overrated.
I would
Would go
too.
as far as saying that.
Yeah, like if
I think
we
I think I think film nerds like really kind of like gush a little bit too much about those movies. I don't think they deserve it.
yeah.
Both of those have like a 90% Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't think either of those movies is a 9 out of 10. If we
No.
took it literally, I don't believe they are.
No, no. I
I
give
think the best one.
Dragged
I
Across
think the
Concrete's a 9 out of 10 for me, at least.
Yeah.
Great
I think
movie.
the best one amongst those two movies, Bone Tomahawk and Cell Block, is not past a 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one are those, like, out of Brawl and Bone Tomahawk, which one is better for you? I know you don't like either, but
Like either. And I think I have Brawl rated lower than Bone Tomahawk, but I think Brawl's better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, dude, it's tough because I could
But
interchange
Brawl, I
those.
have
I
it
could
lower just
say
because
that
I have a lot of distaste for that movie.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I could do the opposite though. I could say that you could say that Tomahawk is overrated and Brawl is justly rated. I don't know. I kind of agree. I think
Yeah.
they both are a little overrated. I kind of want to rewatch Bone Tomahawk. I just remember Bone Tomahawk being super slow, like really slow, and
Yeah.
gets like a little boring because they're just trekking through the desert forever before they get to where the villains are.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they do. That movie's slow, man. That's a slow movie. And then it just gets like so like ridiculously like violent.
yeah, I'll actually change that because now that I'm thinking about it, I'll say that Bone Tomahawk's overrated and Brawl is justly rated because at least I think Brawl has better higher stakes in its story. Like at least I
Yeah.
can totally get behind Vince Vaughn's character
Yeah,
trying to
exactly.
doing what he's doing to save his pregnant wife and unborn
Yeah.
child. Um,
Yeah.
whereas in Bone Tomahawk, I don't remember exactly. I could be wrong on this, but at least from what I remember, I don't really remember why if there was really any good character motivation like for Kurt Russell. I mean, he was a sheriff, and he leads them,
That's really it,
to the cannibals cave or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
there wasn't much like character work there, stakes, I guess.
No, no. No, I felt really like displeased. I felt really displeased with that movie.
Yeah,
I've seen every one of that guy's movies, and he gets better every time for me.
yeah,
It's like Bones Tomahawk was the first one, and then Bro was the second one, and then Concrete, he like really hit it with me. I was like, yes, I do like this.
yeah.
So I hope he keeps improving, because I do believe he's improving. I believe he's improving.
Oh
People who
yeah,
might say he's not, there's probably people out there that are like, oh no, Bro was the best one, and he took a step down. No, I think every single one of these movies has been better than the last one.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree
I
with
think
that.
I think he was doing some real Takashi Miike stuff before, where it just seemed like so self-indulgent. Where it's like, dude, who is this for? Who is this for? But now I think he's kind of think he's taking the right steps.
Yeah.
He's taking the Tarantino steps to being a little bit more like, okay, try to expand outside of your own fucking interests.
Yeah. I mean, and he could become, like a new sort of Tarantino, but I don't know that he will. Not that he doesn't have it in him, but just based on the
Yeah,
fact that I think his movies are just a lot slower paced than Tarantino's, and I'm not sure if they'll
yeah,
be able to break into the mainstream. Especially
yeah, because
Bone Tomahawk and Brawl are very slow, and they do
yeah,
drag, and Dragged Across Concrete um is very slow as well, but I think that movie avoided being I was never bored at any point during that movie,
yeah.
despite how
The thing,
slow
I think
paced it was.
the things that bring so many comparisons between him and Tarantino are just the genre. There's like the subversion of genre shit that they do, but I don't think he has like the pop. You know, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, it's sort of like
Tarantino has much like
the immersion almost in genre, where it's just like they're they embrace the cliches and everything.
yeah,
I think the
yeah,
word
but
for that is like deconstruct. They deconstruct genre.
yeah, yeah. I think they both like I think they both exist there. Like embracing tropes, subverting tropes, deconstructing this stuff. I just don't think Craig has like the pulpiness and the poppiness of Tarantino that has made his movies like so like commercially appealing. But maybe the trick really is for Craig. It's like just maybe cast A-list celebrities. Maybe that would do the trick. Get
Yeah.
Brad Pitt in there. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the next one, I have Old Man James Cameroon.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Okay, let me get his and I've seen he hasn't made that many movies, so I believe I've seen no.
Cameron, he's made a bunch of movies.
He's only made like I mean, well, he's made I would let's say relatively not that many movies compared to some of his
Yeah,
peers, like compared to a Spielberg or a Scorsese or a,
yeah,
whoever. Um okay, for James Cameron, so I have not seen The Abyss and I have not seen True Lies. I've seen everything else. I have not seen the new Avatar either, but I've seen
yeah.
everything else. We won't even count Piranha 2. Um, so I'll say that. Oh boy, this is tough, man.
I have not seen any of the Terminator movies. I think I've only seen three of his movies, so I can only really speak on those three.
You haven't seen you haven't seen any of the Terminators?
No, not one.
Whoa, they're great, man. They're great sci-fi films.
Not one.
They're really fun. Oh man, this is tough. I mean, I'm tempted to say because you can't say Avatar's overrated,
Yeah,
because it's not at all. People shit all over that movie. Even though despite the box office numbers, people shit
yeah.
all over Avatar. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's become like
no respect.
acceptable for it to be a punching bag.
Yeah, it is. People pick on it for having like they're like the story sucks, and it's like yeah, so does every other highest grossing film ever made.
Yeah,
Transformers: Dark of the Moon is like the fourth highest grossing film of all time, or something like that. It's in the top 10. It's like you think
yeah,
that's a good story?
yeah,
So I'll probably just I'll probably just give the cop out answer and say that Titanic's the overrated one.
yeah.
And then I would say underrated is oh, it's so hard, man. I'll say underrated is the first Terminator, and then justly rated is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I would also say that Aliens is justly rated, but to avoid cheating, I'll just say that Terminator 2 is justly rated. I think the first Terminator is underrated because it gets overshadowed by T2. Like T2 gets
Yeah,
like all the love, all the respect, but so cuz the way it is like Terminator 1, so Terminator 2 is this sort of like sweeping kind of sci-fi epic. Um, it's like a big, grand kind of movie. It's sort of the Aliens to Alien, right? Like,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas like T1, the Terminator is pretty much a slasher in science fiction skin. Like all it is, that movie
Yeah.
is literally robot. Terminator goes back in time to kill Sarah Connor, and and John Connor, or not John Connor, um, a guy from John Connor's squadron or whatever, goes back in time to stop the
Yeah.
Terminator from killing Sarah Connor. And so the whole movie is just them on the run from the Terminator. It's basically, it's a slasher. It's like Michael Myers, but
It's
a
like a
robot.
road movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah. But
Okay.
it gets overshadowed because people give it a lot of respect to T2, but I think T1, which no one thinks T1's, not many think T1's like a bad movie, but
Yeah. But like you said, it really doesn't come up a lot in conversation because when people talk about like, oh, the masterpiece of these movies, they really do just talk about the
yeah,
second one. To my experience, as somebody who's not even watched any of them.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're both fantastic. I love Terminator 2, I give a 9 out of 10. And I think the first Terminator I gave either a 9 or an 8. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's my answer. What about you, sir?
For me, and really, I've only seen 3 of these movies, so they're all highly rated. So I'm gonna have to give, like, a generic answer for this one because I have no other way. It is that Avatar is overrated. Regardless of the clowning, it's still too highly rated, and that, Titanic is justly rated. That's, like, the one that is like, okay, that's how good that movie actually is.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say that Aliens is underrated, even though it's like one of the highest rated movies ever.
Yeah, I mean, I uh, yeah, it's like you have it. I feel like that's just the fill in the blank answer because you really can't say that. There's no way you could even say that Aliens is underrated. I mean, you could
Yeah,
sooner probably say that Titanic is underrated because I feel like Titanic um doesn't get a lot of respect, particularly like from the film crowd. I mean, if you go to film school
yeah,
and you say like Titanic's my favorite movie, people probably laugh at you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, I
But I think I,
respect it.
but I think that's the thing. I could have like even when I was saying this to you, I thought about it. It's like I was like, oh, I could switch to movies because technically, people adore the other one a little bit too much. Yeah, I think I could have switched them around. I could have switched um Titanic and Aliens too, and just say Aliens is a justly rated one because it's already like incredibly highly rated,
Yeah.
and I think there could be a little bit more appreciation for Titanic. Because I think despite it being like a super popular movie, I think it's actually really great.
Yeah. No, it is.
I think Titanic's really great.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very well made. It's very engaging. It is a good movie.
yeah, yeah. But moving away from Cameron, the next one is a little bit more difficult, I think, and it is David Fincher.
Hmm. Okay. So, hmm, let me see. Mhm. David Fincher, fantastic director.
Finch.
Finch. So I think. Oh, here we go. I got it. I got you, man.
Got it
Overrated.
that quick?
Yep.
Uh,
Okay. Underrated. Alien 3. No, I'm just kidding. um.
that would be a true like hot take.
Oh God. So okay. So overrated. I'm
Uh,
gonna say the girl in the dragon tattoo.
okay, okay,
Overrated. I did
okay,
not think that movie was that good.
okay,
I don't think it was bad. I just didn't think it was great.
okay,
Justly rated, I would say The Game with Michael
okay,
Douglas because The
Okay.
game has like sort of lukewarm reception and not much of a legacy, and I think it deserves that. I don't think it's anything special. Um,
Okay.
I think it deserves its like sort of mid grade, like nobody
Yeah.
really knows the
It's
movie.
mid. Yeah.
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 Funny enough, that's where the rapper the game got his name was from this movie.
That movie. That's funny.
Yeah. And then underrated Panic Room. Panic Room's awesome.
You stole my underrated answer.
Under
You
well, Edward, you shouldn't have let me go first.
stole my underrated answer. You bastard.
But yeah, I think Panic Room's underrated. Panic Room's awesome.
Yeah, haven't I talked to you about that movie? How I think it's like really like awesome and underrated before.
I think maybe I don't quite remember that, but now that you
Yeah.
say it, maybe I could remember that. I could also say
Yeah.
that Zodiac is pretty underrated. I mean, like Zodiac was really good, I thought, and really suspenseful and just really creepy and good,
Mhm.
um, eh, and really well made. Um,
Mhm.
so, but yeah. Anyway, how about you, sir?
Okay. Okay. For me, you and I have the same answer because there's no other movie in his filmography that I actually think is like underrated like that.
Yeah.
So it's Panic Room. You know, I love that movie. I think I have it like at an 8 out of 10. I think it's like really just great, solid. You know,
Yeah.
and I feel great every time I see it. And for me, so that was underrated. Justly rated, I'm going to say that it is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Ah, so some disagreement there.
to mess, yeah, to mess with you because I actually do like that movie. I think I have that movie at a 7 or an 8. I think it's pretty good. It's like one of his more uh, it's like one of his more it's like one of his less talked about movies because we don't really mention that movie too much, and the people who do like it, and I agree with those people. I think it's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
It's not for everybody, and it's like really long and really slow, but I think it's actually good.
it's really graphic
Um,
too.
really graphic, yes, and unpleasant. For overrated, I am going to go with The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
You think it's overrated? Does that
I think
movie
it's
have good
overrated.
reviews?
It has 70% Rotten Tomatoes, a 7.8 on IMDb. It was nominated for Oscars in 2008. And all of that being said, and despite the fact the movie has like over time acquired like a negative outlook, I think it's still overrated. I think it's worse than people think.
That's the
I think it's
only
worse.
that's the only Fincher movie I haven't seen. That and I guess now I gotta say Mank. I have not seen Mank yet,
I have not seen Mank
but I've
either.
seen all the others. I don't count Alien 3 as really like his movie, a
He
Fincher movie.
disowned it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm vindicated with
Yeah.
that.
Disowned it. He was like, I don't want people to think about that. That's like a thing that I did.
It's hard because a lot of these fall into all of those different categories. I mean, I don't think he has that many overrated movies. I think like Gone Girl's really justly rated. I think that movie
Mhm.
gets the praise it deserves. Like that's
Yeah.
m-
And The Social Network,
phenomenal.
that movie deserves everything people say about that movie.
Oh yeah, so good,
It was
man.
great. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, Fight Club's
Fight Club
awesome.
2. Yeah.
Yeah,
7.
I could say Seven's a little underrated, maybe.
I could say something's a little overrated, honestly.
Really?
A little bit.
Oh man,
Yeah, 'cause it's a little bit of a meme. Yeah.
I rewatched Seven last summer. I thought Seven's fantastic.
Yeah. I think I gave 7 a 7. And I believe that it belongs I believe it belongs there.
I think I give it an 8 out of 10. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe
I might have
so.
given it an 8. It's either an 8 or a 7, but I might have given it a 7 for the meme of it. I was like, "Oh, the 7 gets a 7."
Oh
Mm.
man. The title thing that he
Next
does with
one.
it is goofy, where it's like it's a
Yeah.
7 as instead of a V. It's like, "Oh, very
Yeah.
clever."
Yeah. 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 Good. Cool, Mr. Fincher.
Yeah.
Next one. George Lucas.
Okay.
He returns
Yeah, he
for
returns.
plastic.
I still have in my search history here George Lucas animated movie. um,
The Return of the Jedi.
yeah, the Return of the George.
Return of George
So this is
Skywalker.
so okay. So I will say that this is probably pretty easy. Oh, by the way, one thing I wanted to
Mhm,
say about the movie Seven as well is that the first season of True Detective, I think, takes a lot from Seven, at least
mm,
with McConaughey's character in respect to Morgan Freeman's character. Um,
mhm,
but regardless of that, so George Lucas, I would say, because I can't say Empire Strikes Back or anything here. He didn't direct that or Return of the Jedi, so
yeah.
we're stuck with the first Star Wars movie, the three
Yeah.
prequels, American Graffiti and THX. I have not seen THX. I've seen
I've not
all of
seen
it.
THX.
Yeah, I've seen all of his other films. So uh I think
This is gonna be an easy one. I already know what I'm gonna say, and it
oops.
might match what you say.
Okay, we'll see. So I think that's tough. So I think Overrated, while I think it's a great movie, I think maybe the first Star Wars movie may be a little overrated.
Mhm,
Um just because especially when you compare it to Empire Strikes Back, like you realize how sort of, I want to say, banal like the first Star Wars movie is, cuz particularly like with Darth Vader, cuz he's just not fleshed out at all in that first Star Wars movie. Like not at
mhm,
all. And really there's like barely, if you watch those movies in a vacuum and you don't even know anything about them, like there really is barely even a reason to, and I know they did this on purpose because they didn't know if they were going to be able to make more. So they make the
mhm,
first movie very like closed ended, where it's like tied up in a bow at the end. Like it could have just ended
mhm.
there. Um, but there's really barely any reason, like with the ending, for you to even want to. There's no like cliffhanger, or no like, oh, what happens next kind of thing, right? And
Mm.
and Darth Vader is really one dimensional in that movie. I mean, really one dimensional. Like he just chokes people and just does bad stuff, and it's just a
Yeah.
bad. He's in the words of Mr. Plinky, he's Captain I'm a bad guy. He's just like,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I could say I think, by the way, again, I think the first Star Wars movie is great. I think it's a great movie, but I think it's a little overrated. It's the
Agreed,
same.
it's overrated.
Yeah, it's kind of the same with Harry Potter on a side note, where like the first Harry Potter movie is not all that great, but the rest of them are.
Christopher movie sucks.
The first one,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's not that
Christopher
good.
Columbus one movie sucks. Yeah, it didn't age well at all.
No, it aged terribly. But then the rest of them are great.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Um, and then I think so. Oh, that's overrated. Justly rated, I would say, is, so I could go with either like Phantom Menace. I think the Phantom Menace deserves the shit it gets, or I could say that American Graffiti is justly rated. It deserves the sort of like praise that it gets or whatever.
That's where that's where I'm at with that movie.
Yeah. Okay. And I think underrated is Revenge of the Sith. Like Revenge of the Sith, there's a lot of, I think it is a very flawed movie, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of good in that movie that I'll keep coming back to over the years. I mean, it wasn't a movie made in vain. I'll say that. Like there
So
was.
that's the one that has like the whole like do it in it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it has all of that. I mean, it's the only good one of the prequels, because I think Phantom Menace
I
sucks. Attack of the Clones is like
wouldn't go as far as saying that it's good.
well, no,
Less bad than the other ones.
It is, but so it's one of those movies that I think it has a lot of like cool shit in it, and is fun, and
Yeah.
is has like scenes that are legitimately like pretty good, like,
Mm,
and legitimately like, you know um powerful, I guess. But then
mm.
it's the sum of its parts. It's just kind of like there's a lot of shit in it that doesn't work, and there's some weird dialogue, and there's dumb moments and all that. But like Phantom Menace sucks. Attack of the Clones is Attack of the Clones is like the most underwhelming movie of just
I
of
don't
all
remember
time.
that movie. I don't remember that movie.
It's the I don't like sand one. It's like where him
I see.
that movie's so underwhelming, especially for a Star Wars movie. I mean, like there's the whole Coliseum scene that's kind of cool, but other than that, dude, nothing cool happens in that movie. Even the opening of the movie is just this weird sort of almost like Born Identity scene where it's like um
Yeah, that's right. That's
Pat
right. Where they're like hunting down that person.
oh well that's like in the first act, but even just the opening scene, like right after the title crawl, it's just like this scene where someone attempts to assassinate uh Natalie Portman's character by blowing up her ship, and
Mm,
then nothing really else happens. It just feels weird for a Star Wars movie. It doesn't feel like it just feels like this weird political intrigue kind of scene.
mm,
Um,
mm.
and then the rest of that movie's so weird. I mean, like that final battle that they have with like Count Dooku or whatever. It's like, who is this Count Dooku guy? Like what?
That's the one with like Yoda doing like backflips at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just so
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
such a weird fight scene too because there's this whole sequence right where they're chasing down Count Dooku in these ships and they're like follow him, we got to get to that hangar, which is like first of all, how do you know he's going to a hangar? Then when
Mhm.
Anakin and Obi-Wan get to the hangar, Dooku is just like in there. He's been running from them. He's been flying away from them
Yeah,
in his own ship. And then he's in a
yeah,
hangar and he's just at this like terminal doing something. And it's
yeah.
like, dude, what are you doing just hanging out? You gotta go.
Yeah.
These guys are coming after you. So then he's gotta
Yeah.
like duel them plus Yoda.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
very underwhelming movie. So I could also say that
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones gets the shit it deserves too. Anyway,
Mm.
but Revenge of the Sith, at least Revenge of the Sith starts with like this whole space battle, right? And then they go on General Grievous's ship. The do
Yeah.
it moment, like they defeat Count
Do it.
Dooku, right? Like they
Yeah, do
encounter
it. Do it.
yeah, and then they encounter General Grievous, right? And then they got to crash land the ship. Like it at least feels like a Star Wars movie at the beginning.
Yeah. I can give you that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well then last but not
Well, you
least.
didn't give me yours for George Lucas.
But it's the same ones. The same ones you said.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do agree that
Last
Revenge of
but
the Sith's a little underrated?
if I was gonna say one of them doesn't suck that much, it's that one. So that
Yeah.
one doesn't suck that much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but the Coen brothers.
Okay. Coen Brothers should be interesting. Oh, you know what? I even thought of them too in regards to this whole thing. So I
Really?
can't. I'm like almost prepared here. So, okay. For Coen Brothers, I would say justly rated. Justly rated
I
is.
think I know your answers too.
Oh, do you?
Uh-huh.
I would say justly rated is probably No Country for Old Men
Uh-huh. I knew that you were gonna say that.
or Big Lebowski. I think Big Lebowski deserves the love it gets as well.
Yeah.
I would say overrated is probably between either Raising Arizona
Mm.
or A Serious Man.
I knew you were gonna bring a serious man into this.
Yeah, I think those are both
Yeah.
shit movies. I thought
Yeah.
Raising Arizona was shit, and I thought
Yeah.
um, A Serious Man was complete shit.
Yeah.
So maybe
Was there for a serious man.
yeah, I would say A Serious Man is the most overrated if I had to pick one. I honestly, man, I
Uh-huh.
think Fargo is a little overrated. It's
Yeah.
not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Like it's a good movie, but I mean, I think the first season of the show Fargo is better than the movie Fargo. That's just my
Mm.
opinion. Um,
Mm.
I didn't think it was like phenomenal or anything.
Mm.
So again, to recap, A Serious Man is overrated. No Country for Old Men is
Mm.
justly rated. Underrated,
Mm.
Blood Simple.
I knew you were gonna say that, dude. I knew I knew your answers for
You
this.
know
I
me,
knew
man.
every Jake answer for this. I was
You
like, he's
know
gonna
me.
say blood simple for underrated. Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell Edward and I have known each other
Okay.
for a long time. But yeah, Blood Simple's
Yeah.
awesome, man. I
Yeah.
rewatched that a
It
couple
is.
years ago. It's fucking great.
Yeah,
Like, solid crime thriller.
yeah.
How about you?
Okay. For me, I am going to say that underrated is Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yeah, I get with
Actually,
that.
no, forget that. Underrated is Burn After Reading.
Yep, that's another
I
one.
messed up. I messed up there. Yeah,
Didn't we
Burn After
watched
Reading is
both of
underrated
those
because
during quarantine, didn't we?
yeah, yeah, because nobody talks about Burn After Reading, and it has like a 70% Rotten Tomatoes, 63% Metacritic, 7 out of 10 in IMDb. It has just like kind of like this like like mixed to positive reviews, and I don't agree with that. I think it's actually like a great movie.
Yeah.
So for me, rated Cohen's Burn After Reading. Justly rated Cohen's, I'm going to say Inside Llewyn Davis. Because it does have like really positive reviews, and I agree with all of them. I think it has like a 98%, yeah, 98, no, 92 Rotten Tomatoes, 7.4 IMDb. I do think this movie's like a little bit underrated because I think it's one of their better movies. Um, I do think it's like up there with No Country for Old Men and The Big Lebowski. Like I think it's one of those. I think it's like a
Yeah.
masterpiece of a movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, so that's my justly rated because I can't say it's underrated. Underrated Burn After Reading. Overrated, I am going to say it is Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah. I've seen the movie a couple times, and each time to me is just like a good movie and nothing like above that.
Yeah.
And people like idolize that movie. Like people idolize that movie.
Yeah.
I've never found why. I've seen the movie, like literally, I've seen it a few times, and every time I'm just like, this is just fine,
Yeah.
This is just a nice little time with George Clooney and these guys, adapting that Homer like opus or whatever. Um, yeah, uh, Over the Rat, that's a little bit underrated, overrated in my opinion. It's a little bit too much praise,
Yeah.
like just too much praise. Not even a little bit. That movie gets too much praise. That movie's not that good. That movie's literally just fine.
The movie's shit. Like you were
That
gradually
movie's
No, I'm just kidding. You were like
you just keep
gradually
building.
like you kept going, you kept knocking it down like more
Yeah,
pegs.
yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, I really like keep like going up on this, but no, that movie's just fine. Not that good.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. That's it for
And
this
so
segment.
that was your overrated. Your underrated was Burn After Reading. What was your justly rated again?
Inside Llewyn Davis.
That's right.
But
That's
if I
right.
could, if I could put two underrated, I would put that there because I actually think it deserves more praise than it does. And if
Yeah.
I were to switch that around somehow, I would just put No Country for Old Men in the justly rated one because it is
Yeah.
one of the greatest movies ever. I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. That's it for this segment, sir.
All right. Well, hey, that was another good round of those. Um it's getting a little late, so why don't we just let's skip movie news. You
Yeah.
fuckers want to
Can I go to our recap?
Yeah, if you fuckers want to know what's going on in the movie world, just look it up your damn self. Um,